Here in Helsinki with
Sami Marttinen, one of the two founders of Swappie.
Yeah, we are here because Apple is not the only one that make business with the iPhone. So how do you start with Swappie?
So how we started with Swappie back in the days was that I got scammed buying a used phone online.
Okay.
And then we started looking into the market and realized that this was only a 5% market. So over half of the population would be ready to buy a refurbished iPhone, but only 5% of them did.
Okay.
Because they didn't trust the existing quality, they didn't trust that the batteries
in Finland or all over the world for the 5%?
That was all over the world.
Okay.
These days it's over a 10% market, so this was back in 2016. And we realized...
You started in 2016?
We started in late 2016.
Okay.
And we realized that the only way to solve these problems, to solve the gap and make this market eventually kind of like as common as buying a used car, what you need to do is you need to standardize quality and you need to really get the customer experience right on the market in order to grow. And that's why we decided to start Swappie and start with the model how we do it. Plus also I think like a very critical part for us was the environmental side.
Okay.
So already back in the days like e-waste, electronic waste was the fastest growing waste stream in the world.
Okay.
And smartphones were the biggest contributors.
Okay.
So that's been that eventually then.
And it's a legend, or you try to buy a second-hand smartphone or the iPhone online, and it was not a good. You never received the iPhone, you pay for that, and then the idea start from there.
Exactly. That's where it started. But then like kind of like that's how we started looking into the market. But then after realizing how big it is and how big of an gap in trust there like exists and how big the environmental issues are, that really made us do the switch and go all in.
And it's a market where the trust is very important, because for the second-hand product, the trust and the brand, how is it difficult for you to gain the trust?
I think in the beginning especially very, very difficult. So you cannot ever take it for granted. So in the beginning, because it was only a 5% market, right? There were not a lot of players, and people didn't trust a lot of the existing players when we started in many of our markets. So I think ultimately, like how you build it is that you just need to deliver on the experience. You need to sell like fully functional phones that have high price quality ratio, and then how you get the trust working is ultimately how we've seen, for example, in Italy, in all of our markets, is that it comes through like referrals and people coming back to purchase their next phone.
So it needs time and it's good product to gain the trust for the customer. And you start with another person, you are two at the beginning.
Yes.
And now how many you are?
Now we're over in 700.
Okay, so. In how many countries?
So we're selling all over Europe, but we are focused on 13 markets at the moment.
Okay. Now, Apple try to control every part of the business. How it's easy or difficult to sell Apple product?
Yeah, actually, like for the refurbishment side, it works fine. So like Apple doesn't actively push, they don't they are selling refurbished. They're selling refurbished devices, but they're
online or the Apple Store too.
Yeah, but they don't actually push. So they actually sell a big part of those products they buy. For example, they sell them to this market.
Okay.
To players like ourselves, for example.
And you are very young. All the people I meet here and in this day are very young. How is it difficult for you, like an entrepreneur, to be? Is it difficult, or is it better to be young because you have better idea, different approach to the market?
I don't think the age actually has
importance.
No, I don't think that has like much importance. Of course, you need to have the experience to solve the problems. But we don't look at age kind of like as a defining factor for that.
Okay.
So it's about having the required kind of like skill set. But as we are building a lot of things for the first time, we're building a lot of things furthest in this market. It's very critical that people have also the willingness to learn and everything else, the attitudes to push to the next level. But I think like of course like what has been a challenge, like, well, I've been an entrepreneur now for 18 years altogether. Like started when I was 15 with my first business, and yeah, Swappie has been.
He's not with the Pokemon card, the first business, no?
No, that wasn't it.
Yeah,
like, that was
later the Pokemon.
Yeah, it was construction business back in the days, and then I also.
So for you, entrepreneur is a normal attitude since you are a teenager.
Yes, that's been it for a long time. But what has
from an Italian point of view is not so easy to be an entrepreneur so young. And you come from Finland. You are based in Finland. You think it's more easy in Europe to start a business from Finland, from the Scandinavian place?
I think something that's like very favorable here at the moment is that the startup ecosystem is like very strong. Like startup ecosystem, like compared to Capita, it's very established. We have Slush here, for example, the largest startup conference in Europe.
You have a startup culture here in Finland or in Helsinki?
It has started to form, yes. So I think it's very strong, and everyone is like, what's unique to it is that all the entrepreneurs are helping each other. So I know all the like founders of the largest startups and scale-ups that have come out of this country, and they have been also helping and sparring me from the beginning. So that's, I think, like to the question that you asked earlier about the age. So I think it's not about the age so much, but about the experience. And experience in this market, you just need to learn super quickly. You need to learn quicker than anyone else in order to take this market the furthest. And I think one thing that definitely helps in this journey is that you have an ecosystem of entrepreneurs who are helping each other, like in the country, but also helping you open doors outside the country. And I think like Italy is definitely a good place for entrepreneurship. I think like the startup ecosystem is growing from what I've seen in the market. I think like something that's different for like Finnish companies is that the Finnish market is so small.
Yes.
that we kind of have to go abroad like in the very early days, and we have to go global. Because of the small home market.
You can learn with your home market and then grow in Europe.
Yes.
Okay. And you are in the sustainability business.
I think like what we have seen is that definitely, especially for younger adults, sustainability is coming more and more on top of their agenda. And that we have seen also in Italy. And
it's a very complex device, the iPhone. So every year is very difficult to repair an iPhone. It's difficult for you to growing in this business and with a device that every year is more every release is more complicated.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a challenge. That's why we have the research and development here, and why we also have our refurbishment facilities just next to us. Basically a couple of very right away, so that every year we create the best methods for repairing the devices.
The creation of the method needs time to learn it for.
Usually it's quite a big process. Like there are some differences. There are some model specific differences, and I think the harder repairs, for harder repairs, on the motherboard level, it takes more time. Like usually, more general repairs, like batteries and screens, are quite fast.
We see, they're at the fabric very easy.
Yes. Yeah. And so most of the repairs are quite fast, more straightforward. But then, what comes to, for example, manufacturing defects, so there are defects on every single model that like very specific defects on the motherboard, and those take time, because it also takes time for the faults to start come out on the market. So usually you start see after half a year, after a year, what faults does the phone generate more often. And on the motherboard level, that's very complex, basically brain surgery level work that you need to develop.
And what about Swappie for the future?
So our vision is to be the global leader in refurbished electronics in the long term. Within the next 5 years, the main focus will still be in Europe. So we're at the moment we're focusing on the current markets heavily.
Not US, not other country.
I think we will see other countries and we will see expansion to some larger markets, but no exact timeline.
You never think about the other smartphone, not only iPhone?
So iPhones is the largest category. So we like
it's more easy to.
It is. I think the thing is that we could do this with other like smartphones, and there are multiple players who sell different devices, Androids and tablets and laptops, etc.
But there are 2-3 very famous brands in this Android category.
Yes, there are, and I think the difference there is that like how we see it is that we rather want to be best in the world in one category than like okay or quite good in many. Because that's how we really create long-term value in the market.
Yeah, sure, for the brand, for the.
And then what comes to other categories, like we first want to build the infrastructure around one brand and take that the furthest you can in the market. And get the best price quality ratio and best quality controls in the market for one brand, and then start expanding to other brands, but in this order. So.
Okay, and the most crazy and funny thing that happened during these years?
I think
here in Swappie, or for you as an interpreter?
Yeah, maybe the funniest thing I have to mention here is regarding the Italian market. So back in the days.
Sorry, we are Italian. We are always.
So when we launched in Italy, it was our third market after Finland and Sweden. We had this, like, everything was working in Italy, like otherwise, but people for some reason were going out of the checkout. Like they were dropping off, and we were wondering why. So as always, we started calling the consumers. We are really hands-on with the consumers.
Market research.
Market research in the beginning when you don't have big volumes.
And you understand why they.
And we noticed that there was this, or we were using this, one of the largest e-commerce like platforms. Very famous platform called Adyen. But for some reason, in Italy specifically, people associated the checkout name Adyen with ad and yen. Like some like Japanese scam company that takes your money in the checkout. And we realized that when we just changed the name to Swappie checkout, it was the exactly same checkout. Like people were buying because they trusted Swappie, but they for some reason didn't trust the checkout. So there are very funny things like on every single market that you would never think.
You never expected something like that, and then
no.
And what do you want to do better? What did you don't like at the moment in your company? You want to do better, if you can say.
I think definitely.
So, for example, the logistic, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of work to do in localizing the markets. So in general, like if you think about it, like from 2017 till end of 2021, we were the fastest growing company in Europe out of all industries. So we launched most of our markets. So everything like after Finland, Sweden and Italy have been launched since 2020, right? So right now, what I want to do, what we want to focus on is localizing the current market, like all the way, localizing the consumer experience, like from logistics, payments, everything, like kind of like all the way. So right now the focus is on the current market for that reason, before expanding further.
And you still live in Helsinki?
I'm still living in Helsinki.
And how many hours you work at your brand per day? What was saying that?
Well, that changes like based on the needs completely. So lately I've been working like 12 hours a day. Sometimes it can be 14, but sometimes it can be 7 or 8 even. I think like if you're always working like 12, 16-hour days as an entrepreneur, like
and you like the life like this?
I definitely.
You choose that life.
I choose this lifestyle, but I think like if you work 16 hours a day for years and you already have a company of 700 people or something, then you're not prioritizing things. Probably there's something wrong with prioritization. So I think like I work based on the need and try to keep it sustainable.
So, congratulations. Thank you. Good luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Ciao.